Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Scrum, Sitecore development and test approach. So usually Agile, Scrum is one of them and most probably the famous one, the one everyone uses. There are different versions, but let's talk about in general. Why do we need Scrum? Let's see. In traditional software development, the traditional software development life cycle is somewhat like this. We all have learned this one. Is maybe about 4 years, 5 years, 10 years back. First one, requirements. So we get the requirements. That's the first stage, and then design, architecture design or the software design, and then implementation. Some other stage, verification or the QC process goes there, testing, and then maintenance. So these almost every stage was one by one. So there's a dependency. Each step, each stage starts the previous one once the previous one is finished. So that's the waterfall model. So same thing, planning and requirements, defining requirements. That goes to the first over here, requirements, gathering, designing. Fourth one, building and developing the product is the implementation part, testing, and then last one is deployment, maintenance. Disadvantages. So let's see what are the disadvantages we are having in the waterfall model or the waterfall model. You don't realize any value until the end of the project. Usually, we gather requirements, we prepare a software requirement specification (SRC), and then we agree on with the stakeholder or the client. This is what we are going to deliver at the end, and then we develop. Once developed, most probably at the end, or maybe 2 or 3 stages, we present. There might be the requirement might have been changed already, or maybe whoever who gathered the requirement might have not understand exactly what the client needs. Likewise, there could be a lot of conflicts at the end. So that's the one disadvantage, and of course you leave the testing until the end, because we do the testing part at the end of the even after the implementation. So at the end, so you don't realize what has gone wrong. You discover the defects, most of the issues at the end. By the time might be the timeline is almost over, and we would need another time to fix the defects and to deliver the product, which is bad. And of course, we don't seek approval. We might agree on SRC, software requirement specification, but that might not be the exact requirements client need. Client requirement might have been changed. Heavily we reliant upon a plan. We will have a Gantt chart, one after the other. Tasks will be completed, so we are relying on a plan. Of course, project manager, one man show, power of the one. So he will be the one who is leading everything, all the stages in this. And yeah, the waterfall approach more risk. He might not understand the actual requirement. He might have a lot of defects. So likewise, waterfall has the more risk, and Scrum has less risk compared to the waterfall. Let's see why it is. We focus on delivering tested, independent, valuable, and small features. So in Scrum, we have iterations. So within a particular iteration, you would deliver something that is testable, that is acceptable, and can be tested by the client itself even. So this here, so we are not delivering everything together. We'll be delivering feature by feature. Likewise, it will enable client and developers, build team to have the feedbacks and discuss. That's the advantage. That comes to dynamic and flexibility. So client requirement might change time to time, so we can adapt to that when we use Scrum, not like the waterfall model. Continuous improvement, let's talk about it a little bit later. Scrum theories, maybe some of you actually know these ones. These are the basics. Product owner takes care of the backlogs. He is responsible for creating the product backlog. Product backlog will contain the requirements. Whatever the client needs, requirements will be created in the product backlog. And then Scrum Master, yeah, he's the master, Scrum Master. Define three. He has to define three ceremonies: sprint planning or pre-planning, planning, and daily Scrum. Also, the sprint review, the retrospective. He's also the facilitator. This pretty much, when you see, it's somewhat like a project manager role, but it's not, because he will be focusing on only these ones. He won't act as a project manager itself, because the responsibilities are defined in between Scrum Master and Product Owner both. And team members, rest of the team, the built-in QC representative, or if we have any other teams like MI, accessibility related teams, they are representatives. Everyone else will be in the team members. So those are the three main roles. Artifacts. We discuss about the product backlog. So the product backlog will have requirements, all the requirements. Maybe for a particular release at least, we will have a stack of requirements gathered in the product backlog. And then sprint backlog is for a particular iteration or a particular development period. These are the requirements that we are going to consider and develop and deliver. So those kind of requirements will fit into the sprint backlog. Of course, sprint backlog will be filled from the product backlog. We will have a product backlog, all the requirements first, and then from there, certain requirements we will prioritize and get into the sprint, which is called another iteration. Burndown chart. Burndown chart helps. Burndown chart helps you to see whether you are progressing well as you plan. If you are behind, we can see, so you can focus and see where we actually hitting. This is a sample of product backlog. I did not have. I couldn't get the actual one, actual or actual product backlog. This is just a sample one I got actual. So you can see these are the user stories, and you can plan for different sprints. This one is actually called RTC. There would be several tools that you can manage the product backlog, sprint backlog requirements. This is one of them, rationality and concern. So there you can manage requirements in product backlog and their release backlog and sprint backlogs. You can create them and assign stories, defects, and you can see the progress. Everything you can manage in RTC. That's an ideal burndown chart. The ideal effort is the red one, and the remaining effort is the blue one. If we are behind, we will see this, the blue one will go spike. So there we can see planning meeting, story points. Most of the time we used to estimate using hours. So that's what we usually estimate when we have a requirement, man hours. But in Scrum, story points are considered other than as the effort, other than the estimating using hours. We can estimate using hours, but to actually calculate the capacity and to accept what we are going to deliver within iteration, we use points. Let's see how story points are working. These are generic numbers. I mean, certain numbers that in Scrum we agree on. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20, 40, 100. These are the numbers. 1, 2, 3 comes as, like, if we get a requirement, that requirement might have different, might need different effort. Like, it could be a low effort, it could be a medium effort, it could be a high effort. And also, not only the effort, it might be risky. I mean, if you consider a risk factor, requirement might be a low risk one, technically low risk one, medium and high risk one. So when you are considering story points for a particular requirement, let's see, implementing main menu, just a requirement, very high level one. So when you are considering that, we can put any story point there. Okay. But when we are taking it, the first three now comes to low effort, and next three medium effort, 20, 40, and 100 high effort. And again, one is low risky, second is medium, third one is high risky. Same here, low risk, medium, high risk. Low risk, medium, high risk. So there you can just have an idea. In my opinion, I could pick up any number considering the effort factor and the risk factor. So that's about the story point. And again, planning poker. This is the Fibonacci actually, what we discussed. And planning poker, I'll just touch overview. Planning poker happens if you have a team member, at least you need to have more than 2 or 3. Let's consider if you have 3 team members. Scrum Master will have a set of stories for a particular sprint that we are agreeing on developing. So before we develop, we need to consider the effort. So when you're doing the planning, maybe everyone can sit together around a table, or you can log in through a chat conversation, maybe Skype, same time, whatever the chats we have. So Scrum Master can, or else actually there are tools, of course, but in simple way we can do this way. Scrum Master can post the story requirement, explain it, and then each and every team member can suggest their effort. So maybe first member 1 could say it's 3 points, and another member could say 5 points, another member could say 2 points. So same story, each and everyone get to say what the effort that they need if they are developing it. Once they post it, in case if it match, I mean if everyone says 3 points, then we can consider, so it's a 3-point effort for a particular for that particular task or the story. In case if they are different, so we ask from each member why this, I mean give an explanation why did you choose 3 or why did you choose 2. So he will explain. He might say requirement wasn't clear to me, I don't have sufficient technical knowledge. So we consider it and then ask everyone to estimate again from the story point. So they will have a somewhat better idea than before. So they will again estimate. Probably they would come to a slight changes. So we consider the highest amount. So whoever who doesn't have much technical effort, technical knowledge, or whoever who doesn't know much about the project, also can do the same task. So that's what we are agreeing as a story point per story. And then team capacity. Team capacity, if we, if when the project begins, we wouldn't have an exact amount, because from the first sprint we wouldn't know how much effort that we have. So in that case, you can estimate using the story points. You can consider the hours as the estimate. But from the second sprint itself, second iteration, you can consider the first sprint. How much have you delivered? You might not deliver all the requirements that you agreed stories, but you would know at the end. Let's say if you agreed on 60 points worth of stories, but you delivered only 50, so your team capacity is 50. When you're considering the planning meeting next time, you can say, the Scrum Master say team capacity is 50. So next sprint, when you're planning, you will accept only stories worth of 50 story points. Likewise, it will go. So let's see. How do you Scrum? This is in Scrum, I said, when you are developing, not like waterfall. This is we are developing like iteration wise. This is somewhat what we practice. -3 means before the sprint start, 3 days before, we have a pre-planning meeting. So when you have the product backlog with all the stories, Scrum Master, product owner, and QC representative get together and discuss about the requirements. Whatever the requirements product owner captured in the product backlog, we discuss. In high level, we discuss, and then we make the priority. Like there might be stories high priority, there might be stories medium priority, there could be low priority stories. So for the immediate sprint, of course, we will consider the high priority stories. So during the planning, this is like a brainstorming. So Scrum Master will meet with the product owner and discuss what are the high priority stories for a next following sprint. So that's happening in the pre-planning session. And then the first day, actually this sprint is considered as a 10 days. So the first day is a planning meeting. Actually the planning program happens on planning meeting. So you get together with the build team, everyone, and plan the estimation. And then, as I said, you would know the team capacity, and then you accept certain number of stories that you can deliver within the sprint. So that happens on the planning meeting. Sprint backlog is what you agreed to deliver within the sprint. So from the product backlog, we will prioritize and we will get certain stories to deliver within the iteration, within the sprint. That is what we call as the sprint backlog. And then we practice getting requirement sign off here in the first day itself. So once you discuss and once you plan this sprint backlog, you can send it to all the stakeholders and ask them to review and sign off. Provide the sign off for the requirements, to agree on what you are going to develop within that particular sprint. So they would know what we are developing within that particular time period, within 2 weeks time. And daily stand-up. Daily stand-up is actually catch-up meeting that will represent, that needs to be represent only the build team. So we don't We don't ask product owner or the other stakeholders to join. It's freely for the developer, only for the developers. QC person also can represent in there. Okay, I'll come to that and then what's happening in the daily stand up, and then so we practice the UAT deployment on 9th day before the last one. Of course, we have staging, right? We have development environment, integration environment, and then we have UAT and then production. So each sprint, the 9th day, we are doing the UAT deployment. That's the only day that we are doing the UAT deployment. We don't do before, we don't do after. If we are doing it after, we let's consider that factor later. And the demo. Demo is on the last day. So when we are doing the demo, we invite everyone, product owner, all the other stakeholders, QC representative, everyone, and we will present whatever we develop within that particular time period, 2 weeks of time, and we will ask for the feedback. So if the product owner sees or the client sees we haven't developed developed exactly what he asked for, we will ask for the feedback and make it down, note it down. So whatever the changes can go to the product backlog. Retrospective is on the, that's also on the last day. Retrospective is actually for the team. Again, like the stand-up, daily stand-up. During the retrospective, you discuss, you have a discussion and see what went well, what didn't do well. Likewise, we will see how to improve the team. So that's the purpose of having the retrospective. I think I have another slide for that. So let's that. So sorry. So this is what we discuss at the sprint as iteration. Maybe in some companies you might practice 1 week of sprint, 2 weeks of sprint, or at least 3 weeks of sprint. Here we have a standard that we are practicing 2 weeks of sprint. If that's ideal, you would have time to develop as well rather than having all the other Scrum ceremonies. So before the, if we consider the target sprint, so the 3 days before we are having the pre-planning meeting, and then first day we are having the planning meeting, development goes. Every day we have a daily stand-up, and UAT deployment goes on the Thursday, the 9th day, and demo and retrospective on the last day. These are some of the things I listed down. When you're developing with Sitecore, it's important that we get the content architecture right. That's also matters. So maybe we can consider this. This is a very high level requirement, right? Content architecture. So we can consider it as an epic. Epic is something is a high level requirement. We consider it as we can name it as epic. That doesn't need to be delivered within the sprint itself. You can have the epic for maybe 2 or 3 iterations. But if you consider a story needs to be delivered within the sprint itself. Most probably, maybe you can consider 2 or 3 days effort for a particular sprint. Which means when we are breaking down the task, you need to break down as small as possible. So that's easy to track, easy to test, and easy to do the estimation part. Required data templates will be added. So if you do a content architecture, you can have a discussion with the team and identify what are the templates that you need, what are the layouts, sub-layouts you need, and feature-wise tasks. So break down the task into feature-wise. Define the structure of the system. Templates, layout, stories. So individually, we can make them as stories. Identify the common features. Main menu, put the links if you decide. Breadcrumb likewise, and identify the module-specific features. This is actually the beauty of the Scrum development. And we have the daily stand-up every day. These are the questions usually we should answer. Everyone should answer. What did you do yesterday? So every day you say during the meeting you answer. I worked on resolving something. I worked on this particular story, this task. So give the specific update. Stick to the whole catch up could go into 15 minutes, a maximum 20 to 25, maximum 30. But it's better to have it within 15 minutes, depending on the team actually. If you are 2 or 3, then 15 minutes is enough. If you're having 5 or 6 team members, then actually you can go for 20 to 25 minutes. And everyone has to give specific updates. What did you do yesterday? What will you do today? So everyone else knows what you're going to work on today. And impediments. If you have any blockers, say it during the stand-up. And maybe the other team members might have face the same issue, or they might have solution. So discuss within that time. That is called the daily stand-up. And demo, as I said, during the demo, we present whatever we develop, whatever we agreed, developed stories or the requirements with the product owner. So we can have the product feedback from the product owner itself, client. So they will give us any improvements. They might give improvements, or they will say this is not what I have exactly expected. So in that case, discuss them maybe during the demo or right after the demo. Add them into the backlog itself. Ask the product owner to add them to the product backlog itself. So you don't miss. You have the continuous communication there. So if you miss that, no matter what, how we technically expert, we might not deliver what actually client wants. So this is one of the other key points. And retrospective, last but not least, they are also it's similar to daily stand-up, but this happens only once within a sprint. At the end of the sprint, everyone meet together, not the product owner. You can invite QC representative and all the other team members, Scrum Master of course. So everyone has to comment on these 3 points. If we are doing something, if we are not doing something correct, we should start doing it. So everyone has to give feedback what we should start doing, and if you are doing something that is not needed, there is something extra waste. That's also you have to say what we should stop doing. And if you are doing something correct, and if that needs to be continued, so mention that this is what we should continue doing. So these are the 3 questions that you have to answer. So everyone has to give the feedback for that particular time period, and Scrum Master can make a report, and he can Scrum Master can put down as tasks if it is something that is not within the team. If there's any attention from the other, maybe let's say product owner might have not provided the actual requirements, or might not have provided sufficient details. So that could be a feedback. So put that as and assign it to Scrum Master can negotiate with the product owner, and next time get the requirement correct. Or maybe you haven't received the testing on time. You haven't received the testing on time, so you can so Scrum Master can give the feedback to QC team and improve. So whole idea behind this is actually the team independently needs to improve. Iteration by iteration, team needs to improve. Not only delivering what you just agreed, quality of what you deliver, and also communication, and also of course once you got those things and you can deliver something much more than what you did before, because you will be continuously getting the feedback, and you will be efficient as well. And also demo is, as I said, is somewhat you are getting the feedback. So if there's something has gone wrong, you will rectify there itself. Maybe in the next sprint itself, you can rectify what if something went wrong. And daily stand up. So rather than maybe during the daily stand up, maybe two persons try to do the same task. So if we have the daily stand up every day, everyone will know what the others are doing. So these are the beauty actually if you are following Scrum. So these ceremonies must to happen. Integration and development. RTC or spin planning is what we practice. That's actually very friendly. You have a lot of features. You can maintain the product backlog. You can maintain timelines for sprints, each and every iteration, and you can have all the other charts like Burndown chart, how much capacity that you have, velocity, how much capacity did you have for each and every sprint iteration, likewise. And RTC also has code repositories, Tortoise, HG, GitHub. Likewise, you can use any of these code repositories for Sitecore, TeamCity, MS-Build for automated deployment. TeamCity and MS-Build together, you can do a automate build for at least for the development environment, so you can save a lot of time. So you just need some configurations to make, and then you can set it. I mean, you can set it up through a web interface even. You can trigger when to deploy, or you can provide it. You can set it to deploy automatically the development environment itself once everyone push their code into the code repository. And TDS for Sitecore, as Pasan mentioned before, so we can use TDS to have the Sitecore database templates, layouts, etc. in code repository, and also deploy to the development environment itself. That can be useful. Package generation and deployment. So if you have this setup, you can get the packages for to deploy to UAT environment or the live environment. Also production deployment. After the production deployment, you will need to get the sign off from the stakeholders, the business itself, saying this is what we agree, this is what we have developed. So if there's anything again, if there's anything that feedback is given, you can again go back to the product backlog and add it. Or if there's any defects, you would need to add to the product backlog again to rectify what went wrong. I will hand it over to Hirantha for the test efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dilanka. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry if I'm going to make you sleep, because this is an evening and we are going to talk about more of the theory part here. As the first session, we will be talking about the test approach and test process that we are using in our organization. And from next session onwards, we will be talking about practical sessions and how we conduct tests using tools that we are using in our organization. So as the first thing, why testing is important? So that is the main question that we need to ask when we talk about testing. I think we, using Sitecore, we develop most of the commercial products. So it is very much important for us to deliver a good quality product without at least high and medium defects. So let's go through these points to confirm if the websites are built according to the user requirements. So anything that we develop, it should be according to the user requirements or client's requirement. To confirm if anything is developed according to the client requirement, we need to conduct testing. testing will be based on the requirements, and we will be deriving test cases based on these requirements. Because of that, we will be testing against the requirement. So the main focus of testing is to confirm if we deliver our products based on the requirements that the user has given. And the second point is capture the defects and errors that were made during the development phase. Mainly when we are developing, as developers, we make mistakes. And when we are integrating, there can be integration issues. So we need to capture these. Because of that, we will be conducting testing based on requirements, as well as then to make sure if anything is not broken from the code that we are introducing in the next cycle. To ensure that the application should not result into any failures by identifying early defects. As we are delivering commercial products, if some issue arises in the production, that would be a failure for us. For an example, let's say we are developing a shopping cart, and when someone buys the product from there, if the amount is not deducted from the store, that could be a big issue. So we need to make sure these kind of issues are captured from the beginning of the development cycle, so we can rectify and we can fix these issues, so the cost of quality would be less. To make sure the website is compatible on different browsers and devices. So mainly the websites that we develop in our organization that are accessible through lots of devices, as well as browsers like IE, Chrome, Safari. There are so many browsers and platforms. So we need to make sure that these products are compatible with these browser combinations and devices. So in order to do that, we need to have a dedicated team for testing, and they will be testing different products on these devices and browsers to make sure that it works fine. Then to ensure the quality of the product. So by doing testing within the sprints and then doing regression testing, we will be finding defects, and then development team will fix those issues. And eventually the quality of the product will be increased because we are minimizing the defects. And it is required to stay in the business. So as I discussed earlier, as software organizations, we are in lots of competition. So if we need to stay in the business, we need to deliver good quality products. In order to do that, we need to conduct testing. So if there are any questions, you are welcome to ask. I'm sure